everybody. Good evening and welcome to GH Gospel Radio and welcome to your show, Let's Talk Marriage. Forgive us for coming on a little bit late today, but it's all good. Life goes on. Okay, tonight we're talking about communication. And communication sounds like it should be simple because how hard can communication be? For a married couple, people who fell in love, or people who agreed to spend the rest of their lives together, it should be easy to communicate because if you did not know how to communicate between the two of you, how did you even get married? Because starting a relationship, dating, getting married, all starts with communication, right? But any married person will easily tell you that communication ain't easy. It has all kinds of challenges. And some have it easier than others, some have it better than others. But tonight we just want to take a look, find out if there's a thing or two that we can learn about communication to help us moving forward. For those of us who keep wondering what's going on, why can't we just agree on everything? Why can't our communication be a little bit easier? Why can't we just be able to talk freely and move on? Tonight, we're going to just look at a few things, see where we can learn a thing or two. And if you have any tips, if you have any comments, if you have any questions, just type it in the comment section and we will just add it all to this discussion. So welcome and let's dive right in. So why do we sometimes find communication a little bit difficult in marriage? There are three very common hindrances. The first one is that people do not read minds. Nobody can read another person's mind. I'm yet to come across somebody who is able to accurately read somebody else's mind. As best, we just assume or we just project our own ideas on other people. But you'll be surprised that sometimes what you think somebody else is thinking is not what they're thinking at all. So you cannot read their minds. So we got to communicate. And when you're communicating, you have to accept that fact that you cannot read somebody's mind. So you need to ask the questions that you need to ask for you to get the answers that you need to get. Also, men and women are totally different. Men communicate for facts, for details, for not for details per se, but they communicate for facts. They just want to get the answers and move on. But women communicate for emotions, their emotional fulfillment or their emotional needs being met while communicating. It's very, very important. That is why you find that a woman will go ask the husband, do you think I look fat in this dress? The woman is not looking for facts, asking whether she's fat or not. The woman is looking for reassurance. So the answer to the question is yes, it's not yes, you look fat. The answer to that question is reassurance. If it were a man asking you that question, he would want to know whether he looks fat or not. End of story. And this is why a lot of times men say that women are so difficult to communicate with. But if you understood this underlying fact, if you understood this simple fact that women usually communicate with their emotions, you wouldn't, as a man, just give facts and expect the problem to be solved. Most of the time, when a woman is telling you something, she wants emotional support. She probably knows the answer to the question she's asking you. She just wants some support. So if as a guy, you come in and try to just give her the facts, it will backfire all the time. And then the next minute, it will become a fight. Men communicate for facts. So when a man or a husband is asking a question, he wants the facts. A, B, C, D. Let's move on. So as a woman or as a wife, when you start to tell stories and you start to tell all the details, most of them will just shut down and not be listening at all. So as you talk, you're talking to yourself. And then if the woman or the wife happens to catch you not paying attention, that becomes another point for disagreement or for a fight. So communication is not that simple because men and women, we're different. We already said that we cannot read each other's minds, so we have to communicate, especially verbally, so that we can talk things out and let the other person know what's going on. And we're saying that men and women are so different. Men communicate for facts, women communicate for emotions. If a woman is asking you a question, you don't give her the facts and walk away. You frame it such that her emotional needs will also be met. You try to go a step further and be more sensitive by offering reassurance and communicating your love so that the woman will be rest assured that you care, that you're concerned, that you're being supportive, so that she herself may even have all the answers to whatever she's communicating to you about. After you've met the emotional part of the conversation, then maybe you can slip in a few facts. And also on the side of the men, when your husband is asking for information, he just wants the facts. ABC, let's move on. If you start telling all the details and all the colors and you make it a nice storytelling affair, he's going to tune off. He will not even be listening anymore. And then both of you are going to get frustrated. Okay, the third thing that makes communication difficult is that we have different backgrounds. Even twins who are born on the same day, let's say identical twins, born on the same day, are in the same womb, they share the same parents and all kinds of similarities. Identical twins are different. How much more two people who grew up in different environments, who did not grow up in the same home, your mindsets are different. We're all coming with different mindset. When somebody says, "Oh, I'm going to buy an expensive house," maybe their mindset is, "Let's not talk about house. Let's talk about a purse. Make life more simple." If somebody says, "I'm going to buy," let's say your wife says, "Oh, I'm going to buy a purse. It's not expensive." And she's thinking maybe $5,000. It's not expensive. The background that you came from, the husband is also thinking, if my wife says she's going to buy a purse that is not expensive, she's probably spending $50. Meanwhile, the wife, from the background she's coming from, she thinks $5,000 is not expensive. So sometimes our backgrounds also play a role in how we receive information, in how we interpret things. This is more reason why when we are communicating, we have to be transparent. We have to take our time. We don't have to take anything for granted because we're different. We cannot read minds. Men and women are looking for different things in the same conversation. Men are looking for the facts, women are looking for emotions. So if it's the woman communicating, the man needs to be supportive by trying to meet her emotional needs in that conversation. If it's a man who is communicating, the woman needs to be in the place where she can be like, okay, he's not asking for details, he's just asking for the facts. He's not asking for everything else, the nice story that comes with it. He just needs to know what he needs to know. Just give him a summary and let him walk away. If he asks for more, great. But if he doesn't ask for more, you don't need to go to extra length to explain a lot of things. By the time you're talking a lot of explanation, they are tuned off and they are not listening anyway. And for the men too, when your wife is talking, she doesn't want you to tell her, "This is simple, do ABCD and you'll be done." She needs you to be able to comfort her. She needs you to be able to listen, be a listening ear. She needs you to be able to show her some support. Because a lot of times women already know the answers to what they're asking. They just are feeling like unsettled. They're feeling upset. They need somebody to listen to them, somebody to tell them it's going to be okay, somebody to reassure them so that they can feel better. Sometimes women prefer to talk to other women because another woman would understand. But it's not all the time that you can talk to other people. if you are married and you cannot communicate with your spouse, that's a huge portion of the relationship that is not working. At the end of the day, you guys have plans, you guys have things to discuss, you guys have projects to plan, you guys have children to bring up. So if you're not communicating, the intimacy between the two of you goes down. So let's look at some of the things that destroys communication, some of the things that make communication extra difficult and brings a barrier between the two of you. The first thing is lack of transparency. A lot of times when partners realize that if they say anything, their partner will get angry, or their partner will be emotional, or their partner will be upset, instead of facing up to whatever they've done, they would rather lie or omit the important details. If you are lying or if you are not saying the things that you need to say, you're keeping the other person in the dark. If there's any decision that needs to be taken, the other person hasn't got the full details. So whatever decision they take will be lacking because they are missing something out. Hello, Mami Nikwe, welcome. Thanks for joining us. Yes, so if you're not transparent, if you're hiding some of the facts, if you're hiding some of the information, you make it difficult. You make the conversation very difficult, and that should not be. When you are communicating, be sure to bring all the details. Be sure to tell the truth. Don't try to just save yourself by not telling the whole story. Don't try to make it seem like everything is fine when you know that not everything is going on well. Please do well not to hide the fact. Be transparent. And sometimes what happens is that one person tries to keep a portion of the information to be able to get the other partner to give them the answer that they want. Let's say your husband wants to buy a new car and he knows that if he tells you that, oh, he just likes the car, you may just say no because maybe your finances are not at the place where you can get a new car. So he could go ahead and be like, oh, they gave me a bonus at work and it can cover the difference, or we can make a good down payment so that we don't have to pay so much interest. Meanwhile, it's not true, but they're just putting that in to get the wife to agree. That is a blatant lie. And that is one way that you cheat your partner from having good communication. So when the partner agrees that, okay, let's go ahead and get the car, they didn't have the full information. It's not like they didn't have the full information. You actually lied. So they are agreeing based on the fact that they expect that you would not be paying a lot of interest. But that is not the case. You lied so that you can have your way. And down the line, if your partner finds out, and this could be the wife, this could be the husband, it happens both ways. So down the line, if your partner finds out that you lied, there's going to be a big fiasco. You're going to drive a wedge between the two of you. You're going to be playing with the trust that both of you have. If your partner cannot trust you, your marriage is in trouble. And if you lie somewhere to get what you want, down the line, this lie is going to come back and haunt you. So to have better communication, please do not lie. Please be transparent. When you are sharing the information, say the whole truth. Don't think that this is important, this is not. Just present the matter as it is. Let the other person have the freedom and the privilege to decide for themselves what to do with the information. Your job is to say the truth. Your job is to present all the information, no hiding of information, so that whenever you put your heads together to decide, both of you have all the facts and you can take a good decision together. The other thing that affects communication is defensiveness. Defensiveness. A lot of times when couples are communicating, one person may have that attitude of being defensive about everything. Let's say something needs to be discussed, and then you bring it out to discuss with your partner. And every time you bring anything to be discussed, they turn it around and start attacking you. There is no way you're going to have any good communication like this. Because, in fact, you will get to a point that you even be scared to bring anything up. Because it will look like any time you bring anything up, your partner turns it on you, starts accusing you, and they feel like you are attacking them. You don't even know where the attack is coming from. But it's as if some people have that attitude that no matter what is said, no matter how it is said, they will always react in a defensive manner. It's as if you are attacking them. But you see, not every conversation that you will have in your marriage will be a sweet one. There are issues that are difficult to discuss, and there are things that you need compromise. There are situations where you have to give a little, your partner has to give a little. Everybody has to sacrifice a little bit. So if you are the type of person that whenever there's an issue at stake, you turn around and be defensive, it will be very, very difficult to communicate with you. And along the line, your partner may even stop trying. They will just stop bringing up issues because every time an issue comes up, you turn it around on them and make it into a fight. So if you want your communication to go smoothly, if you're the type of person who is always defensive when discussing issues, it's important that you work on it. It's important that you try to deal with your defensiveness. You just listen to everything with an open mind and tell yourself not everything is an attack, so that you can actually talk about the issue at stake and get something good out of it. So hopefully in our communication, will not be defensive so that your partner will feel safe bringing issues up to you. Hello, Dr. Botte. Nice to see you. It's been a long while. Hello, Auntie Vivian. Thank you for joining. Yes. So we did say that telling lies makes communication difficult. Being defensive also makes communication difficult. And along with telling lies, we also said that omitting information, not giving the whole story, makes communication very difficult. Hello, Mr. Biney. Thank you for joining. So one other thing that will make communication difficult is unhealthy mindset. We did say in the beginning that because we're all coming from different backgrounds, it makes us have different mindsets. But this one right here is talking about unhealthy mindset. There are certain mindsets that if you use it in communication, it will always backfire. Let's say somebody who thinks men are wicked. If you're a woman who thinks men are wicked, there's no way you're going to trust your husband. You will always be suspicious. Whatever he tells you, you will not trust him. And that's a big communication blocker. If you're a man who thinks women cannot decide, they just have to listen to their husbands. If they ask questions, they are challenging their husbands. If they bring a different opinion, they are controlling. They want to take charge. If you enter marriage with such a mindset, your communication will always be difficult. If you feel that as a man, you're the one always to bring the ideas, always to be the one to champion everything. It blocks you from listening to whatever your wife has to say. And if you're a woman who thinks that men are wicked, you need to watch out for yourself. It makes you have this mistrusting attitude. So whatever your husband says, even if it's genuine, even if it's good for the both of you, it's good for the family, and you can both work with it, because you have that unhealthy mindset that men are wicked, it's going to block you from having fruitful communication. So it's important that when you find out that some kind of mindset that you are carrying is not healthy for your communication, it's important that you drop it. And you see, sometimes you've had this mindset for so long, so it will not be it will not be easy for you to just get up one day and drop it. Once you find out this mindset that I have is not helping communication in my marriage, you start slowly, one day at a time. Every time you find yourself reverting to that old unhealthy mindset, just remind yourself to do better. Remind yourself to go to the other side and be more trusting or be more accommodating of your partner's input. If you need to buy a book on healthier mindset, if you need to read more, if you need to talk to somebody, try to find a way to deal with any unhealthy mindset, because sometimes you can see that because of that, your communication is not going well, your communication is going around in circles, you're not able to make a headway. It's important that you deal with it so that you can move forward, because as we know, nobody marries their enemy. So if you realize that you're beginning to feel like you're living with your enemy, and you know that your communication is not working, there's something wrong somewhere. Something needs to be fixed. And one of these things could be unhealthy mindset. One of these things could be lies. One of these things could be defensiveness. So if you find out these are the things hindering your communication, work on it, find some help so that you can have healthier communication. Okay, another barrier to having healthier communication is assumptions. That one is my personal nemesis. It's like I just can't stand it when people assume rather than ask questions. The person is in front of you. Why would you want to assume for the person? You can't communicate with somebody if you're not willing to ask them questions or find out what is going on. If you keep assuming for the other person, your communication will not go anywhere. How can there be two people who are supposed to communicate, and then one person decides to do the communication for both of you? That person decides to answer for you and assume what your answers should be instead of actually asking you. So, assumptions bring a lot of barriers to communication. Sometimes you assume and you make a big mistake and you have nobody to blame but yourself. Sometimes you think you know the person well enough, but it's always nice because as we grow, we change. Sometimes maybe you've been doing something in a particular way and you've changed your mind. You've grown from that and now you want to do it another way. Just because your partner assumed that you would automatically do whatever they are thinking you would do, they won't ask you. They'll just go ahead and assume for you. And that does not help. So we've looked at some of the barriers to communication. And now I would add, what are some of the little things we can do to make communication easier? If you joined us late, we said that we cannot read minds, so we have to verbally bring our thoughts out and actually get to communicating. We know that communication is not only verbal, but a lot of communication is verbal. Sometimes body language is also huge, but whichever way, make sure that whatever you're communicating is what you want to communicate. Don't expect the other person to read your mind. Don't go and frown and expect the other person to know that you're happy. If you're happy, let it show on your face, because the person, your partner, cannot read your mind and know that even though you are frowning, you're happy. So, because we don't read minds, it's important that we communicate appropriately. Use your words, use your actions. Don't expect your partner to read your mind, because your partner does not have that ability. And make sure you are putting out the real information that you want to put out. If you're happy, smile. If you frown, don't expect your partner to think that you are frowning, but you're happy. It doesn't work that way. They cannot read your mind. So actually communicate. We also said that women communicate for emotional balance. Most of the time, when a woman is asking you a question, when a woman is presenting something to you, what is more important to her? It's that you meet her emotional concerns before you jump to the facts. Because until the emotional concerns are met, the facts would. Let's flip the script. When you come to men, men don't want the long story. They just want the details. A, B, C, D. Give them the summary. Go straight to the point. We are done. Just because you as a wife or you as a woman want your emotional concerns to be addressed first, does not mean your husband wants the same. If he comes to you with any issue, it's important that you also accommodate him by going straight to the point. Give him the summary, save the gist for your girlfriends, save the gist for your friends. It's nice, it's so sweet if you're able to have beautiful conversation with your partner. But that can happen outside of taking decisions. When it's time to take decisions, it's important that when you're communicating with your husband, you go straight to the point, you give the summary, you drop the facts. Also, for the husbands or for the men, if you're communicating with your wife, it's important that you address their emotional concerns first. That one opens their ears and their eyes to be able to hear what next you have to say. There was this video that my husband showed me last week. One lady asked the husband, she had prepared some peach cobbler. And he asked the husband, "Oh, how do you like it?" He let the husband taste it. And he was like, "How do you like it?" And the husband was like, "It's okay. I've eaten better at the school canteen." 5 seconds later, the plate came flying at his head. We do not condone violence, but you see, here is one of the cases where he should have been emotionally kind before delivering the facts. If your wife asks you if the food tastes good, you should know that she spent a lot of time and effort and energy and love trying to prepare the food. So maybe you can go and start from, "Oh, I really appreciate how you spent the time and you prepared all this food. Thank you for doing it. Well, this thing could use a little bit of sugar or maybe a little bit of whatever, but hey, you did great. Thank you for cooking it for me." You didn't lie. You didn't say it tastes great. You said she did great by cooking it for you. A for effort. So those are some of the little things that you can add to the communication to make it more acceptable and more receptive on both sides. We also talked about the fact that lies and omitting information makes communication extremely difficult. So if you are somebody who lies to omit information or tell lies to your partner when you're communicating just to get them to make the decision that you want them to make, that is really wrong. And one day they'll find out. Down the line, they will catch on, and then it will come back to bite you. So just make sure that no matter how difficult the conversation is, do your part by being transparent. Put all the facts out there. Let the other person be able to make an informed decision. Because when you keep withholding information, you are sort of manipulating the other person to give you the decision that you like. Or if you lie and twist the facts, you're being manipulative as well. There's no room for lies in communicating. If you want good communication, the lies must go away. We also talked about defensiveness. If you're the type who gets defensive anytime an issue is brought up, anytime your partner wants to discuss anything, you get defensive. It's going to be really, really, really hard for your partner to communicate with you. And if you watch, you notice that after a while, your partner doesn't even want to communicate with you anymore. When there's an issue, they'll just sit down and wait. If you do it, fine. If you don't do it, fine. They won't say anything anymore, because no matter how they bring up the issue, you're going to get defensive and you're going to turn it into an attack and turn it around and attack them for bringing issues up. When you're defensive, you can't communicate. So it's very, very, very important that if you find yourself being defensive every time your partner brings anything up, you need to work on it. Find some help. Advise yourself. Stop being defensive, because you cannot communicate healthily by being defensive. You're rather intimidating your spouse. They can't even talk to you anymore. And it will really be sad that you're married to your spouse, but they can't talk to you because you are so defensive. So right here is where I bring my monologue to a close. And if there are any questions or contributions, this is a great time to bring it up so that we can add to this discussion before we wrap it all up. So if you have your question, if you have your contribution, I'm waiting to read it, and I would love to read it now. So let it come through. I'm watching out for it. So in summary, all we said today is that communication is important because we cannot read each other's minds. We come from different backgrounds. So how we interpret things will be different. And we also said that basically men and women are different. Men communicate for facts, women communicate for emotions. So we need to be able to accommodate that. And we did say that the barriers to healthy communication include lies, being defensive, omitting information, and it also included unhealthy mindset and assumptions. So if you find that you are doing any of these lies, defensiveness, unhealthy mindsets, assumptions, if you find that these are affecting your communication, it's important to work on it. And we did say that if you realize these are the problems, the easy fix is to work on it as applies to you, so that you and your partner can have the greatest of communications. So until we come your way, God willing, next week with another issue of Let's Talk Marriage, like we always say, it takes a good Christian to have a good Christian marriage. May God bless your marriage. You all have a blessed week. Bye-bye.